Hello and welcome to another episode of Excellent Sports Talk with Mark. I am your host, Mark Bradley. And welcome to another week. This is unfortunately the last Friday of Black History Month. So hopefully we can end the Black History Month off right and have some great sports talk as we always do. So as we go ahead and finish off this month, let's go ahead and get into our topics of what we are going to discuss. So first, we're going to talk about our rivalry history, and for the last one, I decided to go with the Bayou Classic. It's one of the most popular rivalries as far as these two schools are here. So we're going to go ahead and discuss a little bit about that. And then we're going to continue on to the our first game was last week. And we're going to talk about the Jackson State game versus Edward Waters, another HBCU from Jacksonville, Florida. So we're going to go ahead and discuss that as well. And then we are going to go ahead and move on to our HBCU sports this week because football, like I said, is starting now. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that as well. So like always, I just want to say that if you guys have any questions or comments about any topic that we are discussing, by all means, put it in the comment section and I will definitely get back to you and we can talk about whatever it is that you want to discuss as far as any of the HBCUs are concerned, because it is the last Friday in the week. So we definitely want to discuss as much as we need to. So if you have any questions, by all means, put it in the comment section below. All right, so let's go ahead and start on our first topic, and that is the rivalry known as the Bayou Classic. Now, the Bayou Classic has been one of the most well-known classic games in all of HBCU sports. This is a time where everyone comes together, definitely in the Louisiana area, and they all come together for like a week long, festivities, just activities, and just it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal, and so basically they meet at the Louisiana Superdome where the New Orleans Saints play. And like I said, it's like each and every week I've been saying this a lot, but it just makes sense to say it because it's more to it than just the game. It's just a meeting, just festivities. Like I said, it's always a festive atmosphere. Excuse me. When these two come together and meet, right? So as far as the Bayou Classic, it's just the point where when they meet up, even before the game, they have a battle of the bands, between both Southern, they're known as the Human Jukebox, and Grambling State, known as the World of Fame. They come together and they meet. They have a battle of the bands, and it's just so fun to watch. I was able to watch a lot of it on YouTube and everything like that. And it's where we're talking about thousands and thousands of people come together and meet up and just cheer on their school. Alumni are just all there. They just want to see these two bands go at it. And of course, each and every year, both of these bands have to bring their A game, because I don't think nobody wants to go a whole year talking about, hey, this band was so much better than this band. No. They want to beat each other. And then also, I believe they have like a step show where all the Divine Nine meets together, and they have a competition with them for themselves. And that's a big deal as well. That is a very big deal as well, because we all know, the Divine Nine, they all have bragging rights when they go into these competitions. And something as big as the Bayou Classic, when you're showing out in front of thousands of people, and of course, alumni who's all there, and who's seen this many of times, you definitely want to show out. And you want to do your best in front of everybody. And so that's another thing that they have. And then also they have a parade as well, to where both men's are there as well, and just other just things that are just made for the Bayou Classic. It's just all there, and it's just such a fun time for people to meet up. I think people really look forward to this week. And so just and that's just before the game starts, which is pretty crazy. And then so when we get to the game, these two teams, they play their hearts out. And majority of the time, this is basically going to be, this game kind of determines who's going to represent that side of the SWAC in the SWAC championship game. That has been the case for a very long time. So let's go ahead and get into the history of the Bayou Classic. So in the beginning, in 1932, they played each other. Oh, thanks, Patrick. I appreciate you stopping by, man. As always, thank you so much. So let's talk about so in the beginning, in 1932 was the first game. But here's the deal, okay? This was not exactly the Bayou Classic. They didn't start it off in the beginning. They was just meeting up and just playing games. It was just, they was here. They was close to each other. The schools was really close to each other. Let's play. So in 1932, they first met up. Southern has won. Southern has won actually the first 8 games actually. And they will play each other, but it would be kind of like here and there, right? Because they played each other up until 1939, and then they didn't play each other again until 1946. And so up until 1932 into 1973, that was before the Bayou Classic, before they officially became the Bayou Classic. So Southern was able to win 15 of those games. Grambling was able to win 10 of those games. And so in 1974 was the official first game of the Bayou Classic, 1974. And this is when they started meeting up in New Orleans, where they play now, like each and every year. Like it has been the same, except one year in 2005 where they played in Houston. But we all know what the reason was. That was, Hurricane Katrina. And so they had to move to Houston. But that was like the only time in 2005 that they have not played in New Orleans. So in 1974, the official game, Grambling State was able to win 21-0. And Grambling State was able to win a lot of these games up till 1974 to 1978. Grambling State has won. So they won their first 5 games of the series, right? And in 1979, finally, Southern was able to, get their first win. And so it's been very back and forth since 1981, excuse me. So Southern has won 2 in 1981, 1982. From 83 to 85, 86, Grambling won 4 straight. Then 1978, 1988, Southern has won 2. Then 89, 90, Grambling won 2. Then 1991, Southern won. 1992, Grambling won. So it was a back and forth just affair as far as these two teams are going at it. And then in 1993, Southern was able to win up until 1993 till 2000, Southern was able to win, just take control of the series, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I won 8 games in a row until 2001 when Grambling State won. There was back and forth again until 2008 where Grambling has won 4 games in a row. And then in 2012 to 2014, Southern was able to win 3 in a row. Then Grambling won 3 in a row. And then now Southern from 2018 to 2019 has won 2 in a row. So it's been back and forth. It's been back and forth with these two teams who love to compete against each other and who wants to have those bragging rights, not only in Louisiana, but as far as HBCU schools go, because we all know about these 2 schools, 2 very popular schools, not only in sports, but as far as their band, because that's how they get exposure to the school. I've said this before. I think a lot of the people care about the band more than the actual athletics. And I've seen it firsthand because, when I talked about my experience going to my first HBCU game at the State Fair Classic between Prairie View A&M and Grambling State, after halftime was over, a lot of people left. A lot of people was gone, which was crazy because it was actually a very good game, which was weird. So look, those bands, they hold weight there. So anyway, let's take a look at this. The series is tied. The series is tied between Southern and Grambling State. It is tied 23-23. And so, unfortunately, they didn't have one in 2020, of course, because of the COVID-19 issues. And they are not meeting up in the spring season. So they're not going to do that. So in fall, definitely everything will be back to normal, and that they are going to, play the game and finally get the advantage. One of these teams has to get the advantage. So in fall, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great game. And, when these two teams meet, usually it is a great game. Last year, Southern was able to win just by 2 points, 30-28. And so, like I said, when these two teams meet, it's a big deal. And I think Southern in 2019 was the divisional winner, because I think it was between either Grambling State and Southern. So whoever won that game went to play Alcorn State, and of course Alcorn State did what they had to do to get to the Celebration Bowl that we did talk about last week. We talked about the Celebration Bowl and how basically North Carolina A&T has been taking over that Celebration Bowl. So, to be honest with you, but still, that was a big game for Southern. That was a big game for Southern in 2019, and they was able to really do what they had to do to get that hard fought win against their rivals, and go on to play Alcorn State, but eventually lose. But like I said, this is a very highly televised game. This is like, people look out for this game. I watch it each and every year. It usually happens during that rivalry day, that rivalry week where a lot of these schools are playing their rivals, and I always find my way watching that game. And it's fun. It's a fun game to watch. Just not only the football game, but the two bands going at it in between timeouts, playing back and forth. It's so fun to watch. Hopefully in the near future, I could go and actually experience that for myself. That is one of the things I do want to experience, is actually watching a Bayou Classic game, and hopefully that can happen, and I can tell you firsthand how it goes. But from the outside looking in, it's very fun. And like I said, they come together, they tailgate, they have the battle of the bands that everybody looks forward to. and it's just fun to watch. It's just overall just fun to watch. So if you ever have a chance to watch a Bayou Classic between Grambling State and Southern A&M, by all means, please watch that game because it is so fun to watch. And so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a video of the 2019 State Fair Classic. It's about 6 minutes, so it's a little bit longer video, but of course, when you have a game as big as that, of course the video is going to be long. But it is provided by HBCU Game Day, and so we're going to go ahead and watch that, and I will be back right after the video. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we can get into it. And share audio, share. And here we go, guys.
This is the 46th annual Bayou Classic, Southern and Grambling. The game is near and dear to my heart. This time, it's for the West. 3rd year in a row that this game has been who decides who goes to the SWAC championship to face off against Alcorn a week from today. Got a lot of action. We're looking at Grambling has been the hottest team in the conference. They've won 6 in a row after the start of the season, 0-4. Southern has also been hot, starting the season at 1-3. They're coming in with a 7-4 record with a 1 blemish on their record to Alcorn State in conference. Today is going to be key. Hickbottom versus Skelton, the Grambling defense versus the Southern's offense. Special teams, how will that play out? Today, a Western Division champion will be decided, and it will be between the two in-state rivals, Southern and Grambling. 46th annual Bayou Classic. It goes down in New Orleans, Louisiana. You had the Southern University Jaguars coming in with a record of 7-4. Grambling State Tigers started the season 0-4, won 6 straight. Coming into the Bayou Classic, winner goes on to face Alcorn State in the SWAC championship game. Grambling starts off quickly, jumps out to a 21-3 lead. Southern comes chipping back. We go into the half. Grambling leading 21-17. Second half, all Southern in the third quarter. They go into the fourth quarter. They take the lead 28-24. Then Grambling comes back. It all comes back down to special teams at the end. The biggest impact on the game, 3 block kicks for Southern against Grambling, including the game winner. Southern holds on 30-28. The Jags are headed to Lorman, Mississippi next week to face off against Alcorn State in a rematch from the 2018 SWAC championship game. Winner heads to Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl.
Loretta, when we were down, offense made a play. I thought the pass by completion by Hunter Register really gave us some momentum and woke us up. But I mean, it's been like that the month of November. I think when you watch us play, you talk about the character and the heartbeat of the football team. I think every coach would love to coach a team that just fight, regardless of the adversity that they're going through. It's just fight.
No matter how much we get down, we still have a fighting chance. I mean, down 21-3, anybody else who came in the half down, we're still on the sidelines, talking about we still living. So it just shows our composure of the team. Even though we're down, they have enough heart to stay poised. They have enough heart to stay calm and remember their assignment and just do their assignment to the best of their ability. Great people do that.
What a ball game here in New Orleans. the 46th annual Bayou Classic, and it came down to the wire. Grambling jumped off to a 21-3 lead. Southern came storming back. Then we went back and forth, all the way to the fourth quarter. You got Grambling taking the ball with 3 minutes left to go in the ball game from their own 20. Drive the ball all the way down to Southern's 23-yard line. Missed the field goal. You have it final. 30-28. Southern takes the win over Grambling, secures their second straight Western Division title. They'll go to Lorman, Mississippi a week from today to face off against Alcorn State for the right to go to Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl. Ladarius Skelton, second year in a row, Bayou Classic MVP. Coach Pete Richardson just hoisted the Bayou Classic trophy for the Jaguar faithful. Explosive game, exciting game. We had you covered.
And there you have it. That is the Bayou Classic from 2019. And like I said, that game usually determines who comes out in that division. And like you heard in the video, that was the third year in a row to figure out who's going to win that division, that game in general. So that's usually a very big game. It means a lot more, when those games are on the line, to really figure out who's going to make it to this championship game. And so that was, as you can see in the clip, that was just a high back and forth game, which just came down to a blocked field goal. And so that game means a lot to those players. And so means a lot to not even those players, but the community. Whoever's from Grambling and whoever's from Baton Rouge, they just, it's a big deal in the community. So the Bayou Classic is a big rivalry, and if you have a chance to watch it, please watch it. So we are going to continue on to our next topic. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, by all means, put them in the comment section, and we can discuss it and talk about whatever you want regarding HBCU football. So let's continue on to our next topic, and that is our first game between in HBCU sports for the past at least nearly 2 years, or at least a year and a half, between Jackson State and Edward Waters. And so it was a game on ESPN3. And Jackson State, first game for Deion Sanders as a college coach. And it was a very successful one. Jackson State was able to win 53-0. They were heavily favored, so it's no surprise that they did what they did. But just to come out and have a great game like they did, Jackson State should be proud. Jackson State should be very proud of what happens. And you can kind of tell it was a Deion Sanders type feel in that game, okay? Because just even when they came out to the field, just seeing their jerseys, just wearing the red jerseys, I've never seen Jackson State wear red jerseys. As long as I've been watching HBCU football, I've never seen it. So, you can tell Deion Sanders carries himself just a little bit different. And it's going to trickle down to whoever he associates with. And so you can tell just looking at Jackson State and their uniforms, they're making a big statement like, hey, look, this is a new era here in Jackson, Mississippi. And look, it's going to be different. And, Primetime always says, if you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good. That's his slogan. They're definitely going to feel that. They're definitely going to take that to heart. And just be coming out to these, nice red uniforms. And they definitely came out. They looked good and they definitely played good. That's for sure. So it was just a blowout. Just watching the game, it was no surprise that this happened, and you can just tell they just looked so dominant against Edward Waters on phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. They were pushing around Edward Waters just a little bit too much for Edward Waters' liking. Also causing turnovers and just the offensive line was just making holes and just creating a lot of running lanes for their running back, and they had a big run game, and it was just interesting to see how well that they have played. Just in general, it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Deion Sanders just go out there and coach a college game. Like I said last week, I think he coached a lot of high school games and stuff. But it's a different thing when it comes to when it comes to college. So it was fun just to even see that just to see their the game as far as just HBCU game in general, just to look at all the band. The band was playing Jackson State. Their band was there. It was just fun to watch. It was good to see the fans in the stands, because I know a lot of these people, HBCU fans, were just waiting for just anything, just football in general. Now, we all know basketball has started, and that's good for a lot of them, but everybody knows football is king when it comes down to these HBCU football schools, because that's, of course, that's where a lot of their exposure comes from and a lot of their money comes from, which is understandable, right? So it was just a good time to see just HBCU sports just go on just in general. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it wholeheartedly, and it was just good. It was just good to see the game in general. And so now moving ahead, as far as Jackson State is concerned, they're not playing this week, but next week they finally get their first taste of the actual big time prime time games as they play Grambling State. And now they're going to meet their match. Edward Waters, they're a smaller school, a smaller HBCU school. And, they wasn't to the point where they knew that they was just going to go in there and probably upset them. That wasn't going to be the case. But, Jackson State is now moving up a little bit in weight class. And now they're finally playing their SWAC divisional rivals. And so now it's going to be a tough game. They have to go to Grambling State and come out with a win. So we're going to see how Jackson State is going to handle that. We're going to see how Coach Primetime Deion Sanders is going to manage the game, because this is not Edward Waters. This is Grambling State, and Grambling State has been playing really good football, as you can tell in the video last year, that they was one of the top teams. Not last year, 2 years ago, it was one of the top teams in the SWAC. So they have to really be prepared to play this game, and so it's going to be fun to watch what Deion Sanders does as far as going through now SWAC competition. And we're going to see if they can make a statement and become one of the top teams in the SWAC, because we all know everybody's going through Alcorn State. And it would have been great to see Alcorn State play. Unfortunately, they because Alcorn State and Jackson State were scheduled to play against each other. But unfortunately, Alcorn State did opt out of the spring season. So now Jackson State is not playing Alcorn State. And now it's going to be the last game of the season too, which was going to be probably a interesting game to see if these two teams were going to be the dominant teams that they're supposed to be, But look, all roads lead to Alcorn State, and that's not going to change, especially when it comes down to fall season, where everything is mostly back to normal as far as all of the schools are playing. And then you also have to look out for Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M, because those two teams they could be quite good as well. So it's very interesting to see how all these mix and match, because there's a lot of teams not playing. There's a lot of teams not playing, and this spring season is not going to say a lot as far as these football teams, because you never know. Any team could be good in the spring season because they're not really playing the competition that they're really playing. But as far as when it comes down to the fall season, things are going to be a lot different, and we're finally going to see if Jackson State can actually keep up with these, very well-rounded schools in the SWAC, as far as Bethune-Cookman coming over, Florida A&M coming over. Alcorn State is going to be in competition as well. Then you have to worry about Southern and Grambling State. And then you never know what's going to happen about Prairie View. Things are going to be a lot different as far as the fall season. But as far as the spring season right now, I expect Jackson State to be really good. And they're going to be very good in the spring season. I truly do believe it. And I believe Deion Sanders is going to get a lot of praise as far as being a good coach and everything. But when it comes down to the fall season and all them schools are actually playing for real, it might be different. And I'm excited to see what Jackson State is going to do in the fall season when they actually when they actually do play every team that's supposed to be playing. So I'm excited to see what happens. But as far as the game right now, last week against Edward Waters, it was a good showing, a good first game for Deion Sanders, and they should be very proud of that. They should be very proud of what they did, coming out, showing what they can do, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting for the spring season going forward. And we just have to look at what's going to happen when they play Grambling State, who is a very strong team, who is a very well-coached team. And moving forward, as far as just going through the SWAC schedule, it's going to be fun to see how Deion Sanders is going to handle all of this. So basically, that's basically going to be it for that. I mean, well, I do have a video showing the game between Deion Sanders, he didn't play, between Jackson State and Edward Waters, and Deion Sanders' first game. That's what I was trying to get at. But so we are going to go ahead and watch that, and then we will come back to our last topic. And so let's go ahead and get into the video, and I will be right back.
Welcome back to Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium here in Jackson, Mississippi. Deion Sanders getting ready for his first ball game as the head coach of the Jackson State University Tigers. And there's a familiar face, Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman, I mean, obviously a former teammate of Deion, and that's pretty cool for him to come and show support of his former teammate. And, saw him earlier talking to Shadir Sanders, who isn't eligible to play, but, it's good to see Aikman be able to come out and show some support.
First and goal for Jackson State. Here's the give, and it's going to be a touchdown, Jackson State University. And on the carry for Jackson State is number 10, Warren Newman, the redshirt senior from New Orleans. Jones now in the shotgun. Once again, he gives it to Clark. Clark gets across the 5-yard line. Touchdown, Jackson State. Newman in motion. Here is Jones once again, and he'll take off with the football, gets across the 10, he gets to the 5, puts his head down and gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Jackson State. Man in motion, and that's Newman. Here is Jones with the pass. Touchdown, Jackson State. Dalen Baldwin with the catch, and it is now 30-0. We like movement once again. Here's Clark on the carry. 5, touchdown, Jackson State. That right side of the line had a hole as wide as the Grand Canyon, and he was not touched.
Wasn't touching, and you're exactly right. Edward Waters' coaches are livid.
Here's a give to Williams. Williams, does he get across?
Should be enough for it. There it is.
And touchdown, Jackson State. Greg Williams score, and it's now 43-0. Jackson on top of Edward Waters. Could not recover, and now Jackson's offense right back on the field. And here's Quincy going down the field. Touchdown, Jackson State. What a catch there by Christian Allen, the wide receiver from Mendenhall, Mississippi. And that's the first touchdown of the season for Quincy Casey.
Nice job with selling the play action. It's just a deep cross. You can technically probably run two. They have timeouts. They're not trying to use them, but
Casey back to pass looking, and it is complete. Once again, out to Christian Allen. And that'll do it. 53-0, the final score. And Coach Prime gets his first win and his first Gatorade bath as the head coach of Jackson State University. Any thoughts on this one? I mean, this was, of course, we knew that this could be a blowout, and Jackson State just really played well on offense. Edward Waters, we know they're a growing program and they'll continue to grow. But this is just this was about head coach Deion Sanders trying to get that first win.
Well, Deion Sanders did enough as far as his group, you know, and they were a talented football team, and you can see the excitement that he has brought to the city and to this football team. And as they continue to grow, they'll step up in competition as far as, you know, obviously the opponent. But this is a great first step for the Jackson State Tigers, and, you know, trying to rebrand that program exactly who they want to be and things that they want to do.
Well, in 2019, the W.C. Gordon Classic Trophy went to Grambling State University, and here in 2021, it comes back to Jackson State University.
And there you go. That's the first game for Deion Sanders' college career. And as you can see, it was just a big dominant game for Jackson State. And it meant a lot for those players you know, throwing Gatorade on him after the first game. That's a big deal. As you can see, those players enjoy playing for Deion Sanders, and that's going to be the case for a lot of these players that go to Jackson State. They're going to feel loved, especially playing for Deion Sanders, because he just has that big personality that works, especially for college players. I think it works well for college players. And, you know, however long he's there at Jackson State, a lot of these players are going to enjoy playing for him and being recruited by him. You know, which makes sense because he had one of the best recruiting classes in HBCU history in history, and that says a lot of what Deion Sanders does as far as being a former player, being a former player, being a Hall of Famer, and just being a very brandable guy. And so this is going to be a big step for Jackson State. And it's going to be a fun ride as long as for however long Deion Sanders is there. So I'm all in for it. I'm going to definitely monitor Jackson State as they continue on as far as the season, the spring and the fall season. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's definitely going to be fun to watch. So that's going to be the end of that topic. And, you know, for the last time, as far as if you want to question or comments, by all means, put it in the comment section. I love to interact with you guys. So please don't be shy. Put it in the comment section. We can definitely talk. So let's get into our last topic, man. It's the last topic of the HBCU month. And I just want to say before I get into the HBCU month that it's been a great month. I think this is probably one of my favorite months since I have started doing this show, and I enjoy HBCU football, football, just sports in general, and so this is very fun to do, and hopefully we can keep this going even beyond Black History Month, because we shouldn't just limit it to just Black History Month. I definitely love to sprinkle in black HBCU sports with all the professional sports, because we are going to go ahead and get into professional sports going forward, and we're going to talk about the basketball season next week, and of course baseball is starting to happen pretty soon. I think spring training is going to start in the next couple of weeks. So we'll definitely get into some baseball. But like I said, this was an excellent month. I enjoyed it. And so we're definitely going to make sure we keep up with our HBCU topics. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. So HBCU sports going on this week. And so we have a game coming up as far as football, and this is one of the games that a lot of people is going to look forward to, and that is Southern versus Alabama State. As we all know, in 2019, Southern was the SWAC West champions, and so they're definitely going to try and keep up with that record. And so they're starting off against Alabama State, and Alabama State is the East, so they wanted to keep track with Jackson State, and so that's going to be a big game. That's going to be an enjoyable game. Usually when those two meet, is a very good game. Unfortunately, I do wish both bands were going to be there, because usually it's a big deal when both of those bands meet up as far as the game, because that's a big game. That's a very big game, but I don't think both bands are going to be there. I mean, due to COVID and all the travel, you definitely don't want to do that, but it's going to be a fun game regardless. I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe Southern is going to go ahead and win this game. I think they have a lot of firepower, and like I said, they're well coached as well. And look, they're champions for a reason. And until somebody beat them out of the SWAC West, I think they're going to do that. And so hopefully Alabama State has to definitely get this win, because right now Jackson State is 1-0 in that division, and well, they're 1-0. They're not 1-0 in the division because they haven't played the division game. So this is a good chance for Alabama A&M to start off strong and set the tone for the SWAC East. And so they have a big chance to really do that and put pressure on Jackson State to really win out their next games, especially against Grambling, because that's going to be a hard game. And Grambling is a strong team. So Alabama State could really have something going on right now. So that's something to look out for. And so we have to be on the lookout for that. But I do believe Southern is going to go ahead and get that win and really go ahead and move on to next week. And so that's another game that's going to be on ESPN3. It's going to be a fun game to watch. And then when they do that, then we're going to move on to March 6th. March 6th is going to be a big bulk of a lot of these games. And we're talking about March 6th, Jackson State plays Grambling State. We're going to be on the lookout for that. Southern is going to play Arkansas Pine Bluff. Then Mississippi Valley State versus Alabama A&M. And then we have definitely a big rivalry game right here on March 6th against Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern. Two schools that are very close to each other. So that's going to be fun. Look, the schedule going forward is going to be very fun. And so you have to be on the lookout for all these games. These games are going to be very, very fun to watch, very enjoyable to watch, and so and it's going to be very fun to see who's going to win each division, and so we're definitely going to be on the lookout for that. Definitely going to be on the lookout for that. So let's continue on to the basketball side. Let's go ahead and continue on to the basketball side, and we're going to look at the top basketball schools right now. And so let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start off with the women. Actually, let's start out with the women as far as the top women's basketball school. So let me bring it up. Okay, so right now at number 1, it is Jackson State. Jackson State has been playing very strong basketball for the women's side, and they are currently 10-1 in the division, and 11-5 record overall. And they have won 9 games in a row. That's very good. So Jackson State has been playing very good basketball. They recently beat Grambling State on the 22nd, and they have a big game against Mississippi Valley State tomorrow at Mississippi Valley State. So I have to go out there and travel. It's not too far of a travel. They're both in Mississippi, right? So if they win this game, then they have 2 games at home against Alabama State and Alabama A&M. They could end the season off very strong, and they will be number 1, and they will make it to the March Madness game for the ladies. So that's going to be big for them. That's going to be big. And then we also have to think about the SWAC tournament. It has to think about the SWAC basketball tournament as well. So that's going to be a big deal for them. And then so coming in at number 2 is Alabama State. So those 2 teams, Jackson State and Alabama A&M Alabama State has to play each other. So this could be for the SWAC championship for the ladies. So you never know. You never know what can happen these past couple of weeks. So they have a big game against Texas Southern tomorrow at home. Then they also play Prairie View at home. Then they have to go to Jackson State and Grambling State. So I think their schedule is a little bit tougher going into the final couple of weeks of the season. But hey, you never know what can happen. And then we're talking about the 3rd team, which is Southern A&M. They're on the outside looking in, but they have a chance. They have a chance. If they go ahead and beat Alcorn State, Prairie View, and Texas Southern, you never know. It could be very interesting coming down to the end, a three-horse race coming down at the end. You never know. You will never know. So the top 3 right now is Jackson State, Alabama State, and Southern. And coming down to the wire, it's going to be very interesting games, especially that last game against Jackson State and Alabama State. That could lead to some things happening. So we have to really look out after that. And then also Southern has an outside chance if they go ahead and win their next 3 games. And then next thing you know, they're 11-4 in the division. So it's fun to see, these last couple of weeks to determine the season champions. And like I said, you also have to think about the SWAC basketball tournament. Whoever wins the SWAC basketball tournament automatically goes to the March Madness tournament. So it's a big deal for all these teams. A lot of these teams, matter of fact, all of these teams have to play for, because they're all in the SWAC championship or in the SWAC tournament. Everybody gets invited, but look, it comes down to who gets hot at the end. It comes down to who gets hot at the end. You never know. A team who's dead last, which is Arkansas Pine Bluff, can get hot when 4 games in a row they're in the tournament. as crazy as it sounds, everybody still has a chance. So you have to be on the lookout for that. And so we're going to monitor that as well. We're going to see for the women's side. And so let's go ahead and continue on to the men's side. And so right now for basketball on the men's side of the SWAC division, Prairie View right now is currently still 9-0 in the division with a 10-4 record. And they have a lot of cancellations in their game, but it is what it is. But tomorrow they play at Alabama A&M. So that's going to be a big game for them. And so we're going to be on the lookout, see if they can maintain their undefeated record. And also Jackson State is undefeated with 7-0 record. So both the men and women are doing what they have to do to, stay close for the SWAC championship. So they have to play tomorrow against Mississippi Valley State, and that could be a good win for them. And on the outside looking in is Texas Southern. And like I said, Texas Southern is a very good basketball school. They're a strong basketball school. So they play tomorrow as well against Alabama State. So we have to be on the lookout for Prairie View, Jackson State, and Texas Southern. So that's going to be a interesting little three-headed little race right now. So that's going to be fun to watch as well. So that's basically what's going on in the SWAC. It's coming down to it, and it's getting very close to the end. So like I said, it's the SWAC championship games. That's going to determine a lot as well. So we have to be on the lookout of that. So let's move on to the MEAC side. Let's go ahead to the MEAC side, and we are going to try and hurry up and talk about the MEAC side. So let's talk about that. So let's go ahead and start off with the women right now. So as far as the MEAC for the women's side, right now Howard is number 1 in the Northern Division for the MEAC Northern Division with an 8-2 record, playing very good basketball. And on the southern side of the MEAC for the women, North Carolina A&T is currently first in that side with the 7-1 record and a 10-2 record overall. So these two could be meeting up in the finals for the MEAC, and so that's going to be fun to watch. Howard for the women, the men canceled their season, so the women definitely has to hold it down for basketball athletics, so and which they are doing. So that's good for them, and that's good for the school, because I know it hurts not to have Howard playing basketball, but that's fine for them. The women are doing a great job, and so they're doing a great job. So I think for North Carolina A&T, I think they had the division sold up, because they're the next person in second place, which is Norfolk State, has only a 2-4 record. So I think North Carolina A&T women, they're good to go. They're set to go. So big kudos to Howard and North Carolina A&T for being first for the women in their respectable divisions. And let's move on to the men. Let's move on to the MEAC men. And for number 1 in the MEAC for the men's side in the Northern Division is Norfolk State. Norfolk State has an 8-4 record. Overtook Morgan State, who has lost 2 games in a row. So that definitely hurts. That definitely hurts them. So Norfolk State is looking like the front runners for the MEAC Northern Division. And for the MEAC men's division is North Carolina A&T. So they're both men and women are doing what they have to do to be number 1. So they have a 6-1 record. And they're playing very well. They have won 2 in a row, which is usually shocking, because North Carolina Central is usually the front runners in that division. But unfortunately, they haven't played a lot of games, and they're only 2-3 in the conference. So it's been a lot of postponements, unfortunately. A lot of postponements, a lot of cancellations for the North Carolina Central, but they do play tomorrow against North Carolina A&T, so that's going to have big bragging rights. But then we also going to have to look out for the A&M. They're still on the outside looking in with the 4-3 record, and they're second place in the Northern Division. So that's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But then you have to look out for the MEAC championship game. That's I say that all the time. These championship games are really important, and you never know, any team could be in it. So you have to be on the lookout for that. But that's basically going to be the end of that, and so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. This has been a great month. This has been a great month for Black History Month. I enjoyed this wholeheartedly, just talking about rivalries, just talking about HBCU greats, just talking about the games in general. And it was just fun. It was just fun overall. And like I said in the middle of the show, I hope to continue and hopefully sprinkle in as much as I can as far as black college sports in general, and especially, you know, with basketball coming down to the end, football is starting up, and eventually baseball is going to start as well, I believe. And so it's just fun. It's just fun talking about these HBCU sports. And I hope it was fun with me and you guys learned something as well as far as HBCU sports, because it doesn't get as much exposure as it should. But, definitely on this platform, I want to bring exposure to Black college sports. But, yeah, next week we're going to go ahead and get back to, regular professional sports. And, it's been a long while. It's been a long while since we have talked about it, but we are going to get back into it. And yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to definitely talk about basketball so far, and then we're definitely going to give our baseball predictions. Hopefully, we're going to give our baseball predictions for the next season coming up, and yeah, we'll go forward from there. But I appreciate everybody who came out to the stream, all the likes, all the shares. Just everybody attending the show. It was fun, and yeah, and we'll get back into it. So until next week, everybody, peace.